Nigerian rapper Odumodublvck has taken to social media to voice his frustration with music industry executives, calling them out for what he describes as exploitative and disrespectful practice towards artists. In a strongly worded Twitter thread, the Declan Rice singer criticized the timing of financial advances given to artists, arguing that they often come too late in the creative process. An advance is meant to be given several months before an album, not after an album or 2 months close to the album. That's exactly when an advance is meant to be given. He didn't stop there. Enraged, Odumodublvck warned executives to treat artists with fairness and respect, stating music label executives need to get off their high horses and do right by artists, or the wrath of God will dawn on each and every one of you. That's them now. You do not want to be on the side God is fighting. Do right by your artists. They are already doing a lot you cannot do, he added. When I get like this, nobody can hold me, because I am speaking from the standpoint of righteousness, and from that standpoint, I can never be defeated. Go and ask all my ops, that's opposition, they lost. All of them, and for all of you that remade beats that my niggas made, when we see you, we see you. He said some other things that I am not going to say because they are not suitable. But on this particular one, God has actually been laughing since the story started. So, God, it's amazing. What's amazing you about the story, though?
No, Odumodublvck's ruggedity always gets to me, right? And especially this newfound ruggedity in Christianity. I don't want to say Christianity, but there's a way he's now talking about Jesus in his music. And now he's saying he's speaking from a standpoint of righteousness. So it's the ruggedity that's just making me laugh.
That means you can still be woke and be a Christian.
Sorry?
You can still be woke and be a Christian.
Yes, but I'm being careful not to go into that yet, because we are talking about a person who people are entitled to their opinion about him. We don't know his reality in Christ, right? But I'm just laughing because he's so rugged, and at the same time he's talking about Christ. So that gets to me. So I'm in no place trying to validate or invalidate, but just gets to me that someone is, you're rugged, you're talking about Christ. It's just funny,
Yeah, so on the story.
So, okay, if there's something I know about the little, because I have some entertainment lawyers as friends, there's something small I know about the music business when it comes to payment, royalties. Is these payments come in 3 phases.
Okay.
The first phase comes during signing of the contract. The second phase comes either before or during recording of an album. Then the third phase comes after the album has been released, right? So everything he is saying, we don't know his truth. We don't know his reality. I think, was it since last year or this year, the whole record label issue that has been in Nigeria. I don't want to start mentioning cases and all. So where this one is saying my record label is cheating, he's taking some money, he's not giving me all my royalties due me and all of that. And it's still in that thing that Odumodublvck is still attacking music executives. So we don't know the deal he signed with them. But from what I know is advance, which he's talking about, more like a part pay part of your contract deal. Maybe you were signed for a 3-year deal with a particular record label, and you were told in those 3 years you're supposed to release maybe 6 albums or whatever, right? The plan is, depending on what was stated in the terms of your contract. And agreement, a particular payment is supposed to be made to you during the signing. That day you were signing the contract, the payment is supposed to be given that today you're now part of us, you're given something, payment. Then, a payment can also come before the recording. But he was saying payment comes after recording. that I read that too because I saw it on X too. So I read it. So he was saying the payment comes after recording and all of that. So we don't know. So I'm trying to be careful not to come to conclusions because we don't know his own reality. But from the little I know is people are given advance before recording. So if that was stated in their terms, the contract, right? And they are not doing that, they will know that the record, there's a breach of contract. So I think that's the point because what he's just talking about now is about album release. So we don't know if he was given any advance when he signed the contract with the record label and all.
Can this even be his truth at this point in time? Can this be his reality? And coming to look at it from artists that are in the entertainment industry, how they go about doing things and how they get signed to record labels and how those record labels don't meet up to, don't keep up with their own side of the bargain. How do they go about this particular issue now?
I think it all boils down to the legal ground. Right, let me put it in that context, because as an artist you should have an entertainment lawyer beyond the lawyer of the record label you're working. Have an entertainment lawyer. So before you sign any deal, have your lawyer to guide you through, read the terms of that contract and deal with an entertainment lawyer, not just any lawyer. An entertainment lawyer understands how the music business works. So let that lawyer guide you through it so that when there is a breach of contract, you can file legal processes. So I think at this point, it's not too. I think it's more expensive to try to be cheap as an artist. What I mean by that is, you don't want to get a lawyer because you can't afford a lawyer, right? It's more expensive on you as the artist because that money you're in your head you're trying not to waste by getting a lawyer, you would eventually lose from your record label. But if you take that, because it's an investment in your career, for Christ's sake, if you have an entertainment lawyer to go with you before any deal, you read the terms of that contract, and if the lawyer finds that okay, there is no gray area in this thing is not going to hook your neck tomorrow, go ahead, fine. But when you think you just have your personal manager, or your talent manager who is helping you do that to the record label, and probably there was a gray area, or there was a term in the contract that had some that was so open-ended, and you enter into that kind of a deal, and at the end of the day you start complaining. So I think any artist who is trying to work with a record label, be acquainted with a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer. That lawyer would never let you go into a bad deal.
So get yourself a lawyer as an entertainer even before you get into a contract. And so your lawyer guides you and puts you through all the gray areas that you might not see, you might not necessarily see as a layman who is not a lawyer. Now, he spoke about people remaking beats. We see that happening a lot these days. What's your take on that? And what do you think that statement, when we see you, we see you, what do you think that meant?
I didn't really understand that context of when we see you, right? But let me just address the first part of the question that talks about people remaking beats. There are copyright laws, for Christ's sake, and if you don't have a written permission of the copyright owner of any artwork, you shouldn't reuse it. So I'm not well versed in the copyright laws, but I think whenever for DJs and producers, they should just be cautious when they are trying to remake and reuse people's beats, because if it breaks any copyright law, you can be sued. Yes, you can.
You can actually be sued when you break any copyright laws. Now, you've been in the podcasting thing. Have you had any issues with copywriting, or maybe has any of your content been bad from being played because of any of this?
Okay, no, because my content, my sound, the background sound I use for my podcast goes through a verification process on Spotify. So yes, so sometimes in the Spotify creator app, sometimes they give us free sound you can use. So that alone gives us a cover. So when I'm sure that sound, because there are sometimes I listen to some soundtrack and I'm amazed by them and I want to use them. And I now think you're probably infringing on someone's intellectual property and all. I just decide to maybe get a friend who is into music production. Just, can you do a little bit for me? So I try to create my own sometimes, but most of the times I just depend on Spotify, use the sound they have. When I feel I don't want to stress myself, I just use it without a sound. So, but never have I been bad. I've only been bad on Facebook once or twice, when I tried to use a sound from another person's stuff to create a content. I needed to do a documentary then on IG and all. So before posting, they already told me, this is you cannot post. I said, God, I beg, let me leave their property for them, you know.
Before they come and arrest you, and before you start going to court and all that.
I don't have that strength.